moving on to Dungeons and Dragons. Kyle, what did you think of it?
It was a good time. I liked it. And I think because the movie was able to have a certain charming wittiness to it, to where it didn't feel like it was trying to be like too over the top ridiculous, but also wasn't trying to be too serious about what it was at the same time. And just not as someone who knows anything about Dungeons and Dragons, but we've had friends, Alex, you and I, who have played the games, and just from outside looking in, it seems like that's kind of the case. Okay, I guess maybe you've played it once, easy. Uh, but
Played it more than once.
with Dungeons and Dragons, it seems like that's kind of also part of the fun of it, is that you're not supposed to take it seriously, otherwise you're playing it wrong. So it seems like with the directors, I think they also wrote the movie, Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly. It seemed like they had a really good understanding of like the point of the game, so they really tried to infuse that lightheartedness into the movie, which I appreciated. It didn't, and I also like that it spent time on characters to an extent, particularly with Chris Pine's character, who anytime Chris Pine plays a more aloof character, I'm always on board, and that's just what's the case here. So I was totally down with it, and I thought him and Michelle Rodriguez's characters, they weren't the most in-depth characters, but it was enough to where you were able to get on board with them and want to see them uh be able to avenge for the story that is going through. So I thought the cast was a hodgepodge of bunch of people like I wouldn't imagine being put together, but it worked. They just were able to be on board with the story that they were given, and that was part of the witty charm of it as well. So I don't know, just a fun. It was a fun romp, I guess is the best way to describe it. It knew what it was enough, but it still took itself seriously enough to where you kind of got the best of both worlds, where you were interested in the characters, but you also weren't worried about world building or the stakes of the magical land that they're in or whatever. You were focused on the characters and what the characters were going through, and it had enough charm to win you over with those characters along the way. So that's what I liked about it. It was just good fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with the movie. I thought the action looked great, the CGI looked great. I've played Dungeons and Dragons maybe half a dozen times, 6 or 7 times. I've loved playing it every time. It's just not something I feel I can commit to because it is a commitment. And I've been
Yeah.
lucky to have really good DMs every time because I barely understand half of what I'm doing, even though I'm playing it a handful of times. But I've had great DMs who have done more beginner styles with me, and I loved it. I remember being like, wow, this is just storytelling. Like I feel like I'm in a play right now or something. And I know a
Yeah.
lot of the actors talked about that. Chris Pine in an interview said like, I played the game to get ready for the role, and I was like, this is acting. Like I'm having a lot of fun. So yeah, I really liked it. I think the what you were describing is exactly what I remember feeling playing it. I know more people take it very seriously, some don't, but it felt like that's what it is. It's a lot of humor because you're doing these wacky and crazy things with all these side quests that you might want to go on, and it has all these kind of goofy moments and yet moments of serious. So I thought they did a great job balancing it. I had a lot of fun in the theater watching it. You're right with Chris Pine. I thought all the actors were phenomenal. Chris Pine really is always great in these kind of goofy roles. He's really just great in anything he does. How Chris Pine
Mhm.
has never won an Academy Award is beyond me. However, none of these
Hell or High
Chris's,
Water.
come on, they're all great. I know Hell or High Water, he should have been nominated, but uh, yeah, I had a blast with it. I think it's a fun little action movie that I'll probably return to here and there, and yeah. All right.